Hi, I am Sandeep Kapoor. Today I am going to take a class on income tax. Under income tax, I am going to cover a special topic, that is residential status. The residential status has a very important point in the income tax. As the assessee, any assessee determines the scope of chargeability of his income. Whether a person will be charged for a particular income or not, it will be depends on his residential status, and this rule is defined under section 6 of Income Tax Act. Here we have used the word person. In income tax, whenever we call a word person, it has a very wide scope. The person word we have already discussed in the previous lecture. In person we cover the following things, that is individual is also a person, Hindu undivided family, company, firm, association of persons, body of individual, any local authority, artificial judicial person. They all falls under the concept of person. As far as the residential status is concerned, the person, as we have told, the person has a very wide scope. So in residential status, persons are divided into two parts. First part is individuals and HUF, second is others. In case of individuals and HUF, the persons are divided into two statuses, that is residents and non-resident. Residents are of two types, that is ordinary resident in India and non-ordinary resident. Other persons, that is other than individuals and Hindu undivided family, that is company, firm, local authority, they are divided into two parts, that is residents in India or non-resident. The rule to identify the residential status is given under section 6 of the Income Tax Act. This rule is commonly known as condition. There are two types of condition. First condition is known as basic condition. Basic condition is divided into two parts, that is a person must be in India during the previous year for a period of 182 days or more. Second condition is he is in India for a period of 60 days or more during the previous year and for 365 or more days during the 4 previous years immediately preceding the relevant previous year. This is the basic condition. These are the two parts of the basic condition. There is an exception to this basic condition rule. It is in the following cases, condition second. What is condition second? This is condition second, which is of 60 days or 365 days and 4 years. This is condition second. So what is the exception to the condition second? An Indian citizen who leaves India during the previous year for employment purpose, or an Indian citizen who leaves India during the previous year as a member of crew of Indian ship. In these cases, above assessee shall be treated as resident in India only if he resides in India for 182 days or more in the relevant previous year. That means in these two type of citizens, basic condition number 1 will be followed, 2 will not be followed. Apart from basic condition, there is another type of condition which is called additional condition. Additional condition is also have two parts. First part says the person has been resident in India as per the first condition in at least 2 out of the 10 previous years immediately preceding the relevant previous year. And he has been resident in India for a period of 730 days or more during the 7 previous years immediately preceding the previous year. So now in total there are 4 conditions. 2 conditions are the part of basic condition and 2 conditions are part of the additional condition. On the basis of these conditions, we decide the person is resident or non-resident. Like the residential status of an individual, how do we decide it? For case of individual to be a resident, the person needs to fulfill any one basic condition and both additional conditions. For being not ordinary resident, he needs to fulfill any one basic condition, and in case of non-resident, no fulfillment of any basic condition. If any person is fulfilling both any one basic condition and both additional conditions, then he is resident. If he fulfills only one basic condition and no additional condition, he is not ordinary resident. And he is unable to fulfill any of the basic condition, he is non-resident. Likewise, in the case of Hindu undivided family, the rule says if the control and management of the affairs is wholly or partly situated in India, and if the Karta or the manager fulfill both additional conditions and the control and management of its affair wholly or partly situated in India. Otherwise, in case of not ordinary resident, if control and its affairs wholly or partly situated in India, but Karta or manager does not fulfill the additional conditions. For non-resident, if the control and management of its affair is situated completely outside India. So this is the fulfillment conditions in case of individuals and in case of FUS. Likewise, for other persons, like residential status of firm, association of person or body of individual, to become a resident, the condition is that the control and management of the affair of firm, association of person, body of individual, completely or partly situated in India during the previous year. In case of non-resident, control and management must be outside of the India during the previous year. Likewise, for a company, if it is an Indian company, the place of effective management in the previous year must be in India, and a company which is not resident in India is said to be non-resident company. Now we will take an example to understand that how do we determine the residential status of a person. The example says that Miss Pal, an Indian citizen, left the India for first time on 1st April 2020 for joining a job in Tokyo. She came to India on 11th January 2022 for only 170 days. Determine her residential status for the previous year 21-22. Now what do we need to do? We need to identify the number of days Miss Paul stayed in India. Can be calculated how? We need to create a table for 2 previous years when she was in India. Like for previous year 21-22, we need to identify when she was in India, as she left the India on first time on April 2020. There is a correction, it is not April 2020, it should be April 2021. So if we try to identify, she left India first time on 1st April 2021, so on 1st April she was in India. Then she left the India for rest of the months she was not in India. When she came back on 11th January 2022. So in the month of January she was in India for 21 days and she came for 170 days. So in the February she was in India for 28 days. In the March 31 days. So during the previous year 21-22 she was in India for total 81 days. But she came for 170 days for. Then we need to count the days for previous year 22-23 also. In the April, May and June, she was in India for 30 days, 31 days and 29 days. Then she went back. So in the year, previous year 22-23, she was in India for 90 days. Now we need to recall the basic condition and additional condition to know that she is resident or non-resident. Since she left India for employment purpose, hence for becoming resident, she has to stay in India for at least 182 days. However, she is in India for 81 days only during the previous year 21-22. Thus, she is a non-resident for this particular previous year. Like this, whenever a person comes to India or leaves the India, we need to determine that how many days he or she was in India. On the basis of this, we establish that the person is resident, not ordinary resident or non-resident. So that's all for today's class. Thank you.